Hi Virgo and Virgo rising. Here is a general look at your solar chart for March 2015, and this is always quite an important time of the year for Virgos because of the Sun being in your opposite sign Pisces. And until the 21st you will benefit from relationships, close relationships, maybe the support of a relationship, or you being the supporter, as is often your way. You know, perhaps you're not very good at receiving help as good at receiving help as you are at giving it. And it's not a time anyway to be going alone. You know, two heads are better than one with the Sun in your opposite sign. But however it is for you, there is a stronger feeling of mutual interaction, and there could even be some attraction going on as well. Hopefully coming from the same directions at once. There's a solar eclipse on the 20th, and that's on the cusp of Pisces, your opposite sign, and Aries. And this can usher in a new chapter in close relationships, and they can be working relationships as well as love-type relationships, or with material or spiritual resources, property as well, which has some kind of connection with another. You know, it's not just yours alone. It's jointly held. On that day, the 20th, it's a good idea to take a step in the direction of compromise, collaboration, and maybe if you've been holding back, put your cards on the table. Once that intention is set on that day, then the results will unfold over the following 6 months. That is, it can actually be up to a year as well, or in fact in some cases over a year, but you know, the highest percentage is over the next 6 months. Anything longer is dependent upon the cycles in your natal chart. So until the 13th, Mercury is focusing your mind upon the practical side of life, daily duties, discussions, ideas, paperwork, anything that is like on your to-do list, I suppose. And running repairs, your thinking could be revolving around anything like that, and also blowing the dust off maybe a skill of you, an old skill, or indeed just applying skills in some kind of a way to be of service. To very much, this is the area of service. And until the 17th, Venus, is in a place of emotional depth. You can feel very touched. You can feel very swayed in your feelings during that transit there, which is why I said there could be mutual attraction going on. And it's great for the romantics among you, or anybody involved in a romantic way, but in general it can mean things become just more intimate and involved. It can also mean that you some little bonus can come in your direction, some kind of refund or inheritance of some kind could maybe flow in your direction, and it would depend on the lay of the land in your natal chart to know how likely that is. But as a general rule of thumb, I would say with Venus there, it's a good time. It's a good time to acquire, and it's a good time to, you know, get a good deal on something. So to reach out for that. It's also a good time for negotiations, and also getting closer and shifting into more commitment with somebody, perhaps, and sharing things and looking at, you know, how that can be done. If you've got to negotiate or thrash out a deal, this would be a good time for that as well. Now, the first 3 weeks of the month, we still have the carryover from February of this Saturn Neptune energy, which maybe has us, and this is planet-wide, it's not just in your particular chart, but if the degrees are close to an important degree in your chart, you may be feeling it more than other Virgos. These are, and when I mention Saturn, you'll know, in fact I'll tell you now, this will be for you Virgos, and feeling this the most will be you Virgos born 26th to the 28th of August, or with 3 to 5 degrees rising, and that's the most, but of course the whole sign will be feeling that. And the this connection between Saturn and Neptune is particularly over the first 2 weeks. It's lengthening into the beginning of the third week, half of the third week, with Mercury going across Neptune. And this has the sort of flavor of things being up in the air, things not being quite how they seem, and imagining things are other than they really are, because there's no actual real evidence. So, or if there is evidence and opinions, perhaps they aren't quite right. So, yeah, and it's not the time for like major decisive moves in this or that, the other direction. That's not just for your chart. That's an aspect that is dominant in the skies, particularly over those first 3 weeks there. But there's definitely a Piscean sort of feel there, where on the one hand one's got to be more sensitive, more empathic maybe, but on the other hand one hasn't quite got the clear picture. So it's just for you to be aware of that anyway. Now, Mars is in the sector of your solar chart, which clears the decks for new beginnings. So it's a very introspective area. It can mean that you feel a bit more touchy. It can mean that you feel just a little bit more fragile. But it is also the area about letting go, having a declutter, having a cleanse, perhaps a detox or a spring clean, however you want to sort of understand it. But either way, whatever you're doing, this Mars position means coming up against conditions which provoke an inner change. You know, it might be something sudden, or it can be something that's just been building up and you're just like, okay, you know, enough already. But the sudden theme is quite strong, in fact, in March, because Mars is in very feisty, hot-headed Aries. This is for all of the signs, this energy, at the same time as clashing with Uranus and Pluto. Particularly watch out for those second and third weeks where one has to keep, you know, a cool sort of like a cool head. For you, this is the time for getting rid, you know, really, maybe just if you need help in an emotional kind of a way, then consulting with somebody in a confidential sort of a way. Or it might be the other way around. It might mean that somebody is coming to you and is more sort of crying on your shoulder in a way, because you're always so kind of competent and efficient. You do tend to attract people that do that. You'll probably have to feel your way forwards rather than think your way, but remember that these energies that Mars is going across in that second and third week can take one aback a little bit. So this will be for you in an area which is to do with endings and beginnings, okay? But just focus on it, on the beginnings part of it. That sensitivity will be there, but you do have the Venus energy as well up until the 17th anyway, but that sensitivity will be there, but you have to try to sense and feel your way forwards and be more protective of your energy field. Okay, that's probably the best way to put it. Venus moves on the 17th and then supports relationships with people far away. It's in a much more upbeat, outgoing sector of the chart, and it means that you could have a really click and really feel a support coming from somebody who is maybe at a distance, or is maybe just got a very different kind of cultural background and or education to you, but you kind of get on together, and what they have to say, what they have to contribute is very useful to you It can be also the other way around, what you're contributing to them, what you're advising maybe to them is very useful to them, but it can be a lucrative area, this one. It can mean that somebody is getting a good resource out of it, and if you steer the energy in the right direction, it could be you. A teacher or someone with a specialist field of knowledge could be really helpful. I mean, it could be a teacher, or it might be somebody in an advisory capacity, but also you yourself could be seen more like that. Jupiter is in the sign before yours until August. This means tying up loose ends from the past, and in March maybe that will be quite strong. And maybe something, again, this feeling of suddenness could come in, because Jupiter is in a beautiful connection with Uranus over the whole of the month of March. And in fact, I made another video called March 2015 in a nutshell, where there's a little bit more about the aspects in general over March for all of the signs. You can, you know, you sometimes feel as though you're going over some old ground, but that might be necessary, you know, to go through the nostalgia or the sentimentality, and then to go over that old ground in order to just file it away in the archives, as it were, because you're drawing a double line under that huge long cycle of life. When Jupiter comes into your sign in August, then you'll be starting off on a new 12-year cycle. And looking back 12 years might be interesting as well, and seeing what was happening then and what happened next. So this is the area where you can be your own worst enemy, because you fall down that same old hole in the road again. So try not to do that. You Virgos born the 3rd to the 9th of September, with 11 to 16 degrees rising, will feel this energy the most. This is also the area to do with angelic help, the area to do with tapping into however you see guides or spiritual helpers. And whatever names you want to call them. And with Jupiter on Uranus over March, there could be some revelation there. There could be some sort of stunning disclosure, maybe, or revelation. And you've got to put yourself in the way of nurturing, healing, magical type environments that are known to you. Environments where you can just lose yourself in a way, your ego self. A line from a poem springs to mind: "Oh be a son to me, not a weary, insistent personality." And I can't remember what that comes from, but, you know, putting yourself in the way of just that beautiful luminosity, and just kind of bathing in it. However it is, whether it's going for a walk, reading a book, listening to music, or something a bit more radical. And then that Jupiter-Uranus energy can really sort of deliver, you see, if you do that. Okay, and then Neptune going through your opposite sign, and there is this, you know, you seen as the prop that others are leaning upon. This is harking back a little bit to what I said to you before about the first 3 weeks, and maybe things not being quite what they seem, or maybe you just having to be that unselfish supporter no matter what's really going on, because that is just what has to be done. You Virgos born the 29th to the 29th of August to the 2nd of September, or with 6 to 10 degrees rising, and to feel the energy of that the most this month. This is very much the area, wherever Neptune is, of serving others, you know, but also not putting them up there on a pedestal and being unrealistic about them, you know. Everybody's just the same as everybody else, with different levels of awareness. So, of course, that makes us different, but on the other hand, we're all souls. Anyway, That's how I see it. And then we have, I think that's about it actually, without sort of babbling on anymore. That's about it for March. So if you know your rising sign and your moon sign, listen to those. And also this is written up on my website, not everything I've said here. It'll be slightly different, but you can read it on my website, and also March 2015 in a nutshell. And I'll see you the next time.